Game Soup with Kayla and Chloe. This is a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. I'm Kayla and I'm not depressed this week-ish. How are you doing, Chloe?
I'm good. I'm a little bit depressed, but let's not dwell on it.
I feel like you've now just said you're a little depressed, so I feel the question, how was your week, Chloe, is loaded, even though it is our stock intro.
Well, I mean, I have at one point Googled Wes Streeting's address, so I mean, that's where we're at in the world.
I feel like I'm frequently having to resist the temptation to quote tweet anything I see from or about a member of parliament with just the word bomb. I need to not do that because I don't. Unfortunately, I use my Blue Sky account to sell my wares as a game creator, and I needed to not get taken down for incitement.
You don't need the police at your front door being like, "What did you mean by this, Kayla?"
No, just bomb.
So this week we are talking about doing things in Minecraft, of course.
This week, this goes back to a conversation we had at last year's Tabletop Scotland in our hotel, the four of us, you, me, Alyssa, and Laurie, where we were basically wondering, like, could we make a game
that
would get done as incitement for violence? Now, I don't think we should riff on this idea on the podcast in a recorded medium.
So we're creating a LARP that you play in Minecraft. Is a LARP you play in Minecraft where somebody is... You build a little town, we build the town, and you download the map, and somebody is the MP for the little town. And they have rules, and it's kind of like... it's not a hidden role thing, but like everybody else has like their... Oh, I'm the town blacksmith, I'm the town, like... farmer, whatever, and everybody has their roles, and you have to go about your day. But it's like you have these little secret jobs to, like, you know, try to undermine the powers that be, murdering a policeman in Minecraft, or
or looking for the little town ingredients for a pipe bomb.
Yeah.
I also, with no real reason to assume this other than, like, the general people we are, I feel we should move on from this topic because I reckon most of our audience is trans and they might just get depressed and stop listening. How long can we stay on it?
Join a protest or something, I don't know.
We love you.
Like, join a union. It's like, that's not relevant, Chloe. It's good advice, but
nah. Let's do. I mean, did you do anything nice in the week? Did you do anything nice?
Anything nice? I went to a Magic the Gathering drop-in session at the local game store that we're trying to become regulars at. And that was quite fun. Like, playing my terrible Planeswalkers deck. This all means nothing to you, Kayla, I understand, but it's just like I kept making my play and like, wait, can I take that back? Because like I've realized I could do that in a better order. And it's like at some point, like after like 3 times of doing this, the other guy at our table who wasn't like one of our friends was like, just imagine doing this in a pro tour. It's like top level play. Oh yeah, wait, can I do that again? Can I undo that? It's like, girl, we are at a game store on a Thursday night.
Girl, breathe.
Girl, talking to cis man. Girl.
Yeah, I mean, you said you're at a Magic tournament, so I like the odds.
Me, Alyssa, and our friend Camille were the only non-cis men in the room, other than like one of the staff. So
makes sense. It's difficult for me to be like the coolest and least nerdy person in TTRPGs, but it is a burden I bear willingly.
Yeah. I was gonna like read you for filth, but I couldn't remember. Like, I see you on Discord playing video games, but I can't remember any of them that you play. So it's like, must be cool ones.
Yeah. I mean, my relationship with video games is weird because I don't really. This is the thing. For someone who does play video games a lot, I really don't consider myself into video games at all. And I don't know why that is, because I do consider myself... Because what I'd make the argument of, like, I don't really pay attention to what video games are coming out. I play essentially random video games that seem interesting and fill my time, but I'm not like paying attention to what's going on in the world of video games.
Yeah.
But I am aware broadly that's true of music, and I do consider myself into music, even though I don't follow the hottest trends. I find bands or musicians I like and then pay attention to what they have coming out. And admittedly, that's, I guess, minorly more in depth than games, where I don't really even pay attention to like people who've made games I like before. I'm always surprised when I'm like, oh, right, I see.
Yeah, I get my updates about what games are out at conventions.
In this case, I meant video games exclusive.
Well,
I'd consider
still.
myself into I'd consider myself more into TTRPGs, which I guess is nerdy in itself, but like, it's the fact there that like the least nerdy person in TTRPGs is sort of a, it's the
Yeah, you're still pretty nerdy.
You're still in there. Like there's a, it's a narrow superlative.
But you're not like thinking about what Space Marine goes best with. See, I don't play Warhammer, so I don't know the end of the sentence, but Belisarius Cain, I believe, is a character from Warhammer. 5 years now, honey.
Oh, picked up lots of Warhammer knowledge in that time.
She doesn't play Space Marine, she plays Tyranids, okay?
Okay, you should have gone for a Tyranid reference and you'd have been really able to show off.
Yeah. Which Tyranids go well with cabbages.
In the interest of self-reporting, I'm like, what are the things I could consider myself, like, nerdy about? And I guess it's like, I do watch Doctor Who, which is, just because that's on at the moment. I don't otherwise pay much attention to sci-fi or fantasy shows anymore at this point in my life, so I'm sort of aware that the fact that I'm still into Doctor Who, not in the way some people are into Doctor Who, but that I am still, like, I pay attention to it when
Doctor
it's on.
Who is an outlier and should not be counted.
That's a big part of the fact, like, it was a massive part of my childhood.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's good again.
It is good. I'm enjoying it at the moment. Otherwise, nerdy things, it's like, I don't think I read nerdy books. Like, I really don't read much fantasy or sci-fi. Oh, comics. An inherently nerdy medium that I'm into. That's my big one.
Yeah. Is wrestling nerdy?
Ooh, so one thing I'd want to say before I answer this is I don't want to suggest there is a binary between nerdy and cool, because I don't think I'm going to answer, I don't think wrestling is inherently nerdy, but you can be very nerdy about wrestling.
Yeah.
But I do want to clarify that the fact that wrestling is not nerdy does not mean wrestling is cool. Wrestling is not cool.
No.
I think
you can be nerdy about like cool things like football, like Pele did X number of goals in 1992 or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I used to joke that being really autistic about football was a great thing because people do think it's normal. Like you can info dump at someone about some fact of the footy, and they're like, "What a neurotypical, well-adjusted, functioning member of society this person is."
That's just colour commentary on football.
It's play-by-play commentary. Colour commentary is more about just like random bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And this player has done 6 penalties this year. It's like, nerd who knows that.
Yeah, you can be like stat nerd about anything. I think the thing was my interest in wrestling nerdy. I would say as a kid, yes, absolutely. And then I'd say for like 6 months when I first got into wrestling, I think though, to the outside observer who's not into wrestling, the fact that I'm into wrestling and was a former wrestler is kind of cool. Like, if I was only someone who'd ever only watched wrestling, they might go, "Oh yeah, Caleb's a bit of a wrestling nerd." Like, the fact that I've watched wrestling and I'm like, "Oh yeah, and I was a wrestler for 2-3 years," that it cancels out how nerdy it could be.
I think we should do an autobiographical game about the time that you were a wrestler.
I'd argue... I feel I've said everything I need to say on wrestling with Transgender Deathmatch Legend 2.
Yeah.
I did once... This is actually will finally get us into game design.
That was me trying to segue.
Yes, and I am going to get us into game design here, because when I was on holiday, and I'd read a couple of like memoirs and autobiographies. I was wondering about the fact of an autobiographical game. Have you read Logan?
I've seen it on Twitter.
Yeah, Logan's interesting. I find Logan very interesting. Though, at the same time, what I was thinking would have probably been different, because I feel like Logan is I guess you could describe it as like a solo game, and it uses like mechanics to present parts of an autobiography. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
really stumbled there because you say graphical, but you do not say graphy. um, but also, I find it very interesting because the way of those like roll results means that like you don't necessarily have a hard answer on like, oh, what actually happened. I think it's a lot about like the an autobiography of emotions almost. And I was wondering there, like, oh, what would it be if I just wrote what was like half a real memoir, but basically it's like a memoir slash anthology was this vague idea I came up with without an intention to do. Whereas just like, oh yeah, what if it's like I write something about my childhood and then it's like, here's this game that is about that. In some cases would I guess have to be new games, but other times it would be like, oh yeah, this is how I felt when I was 21 and I had to move back to Essex for about 4 months because I couldn't find a job. These were all my emotional feelings. Oh, here's the entire text of To Embrace a Swamp Creature. Now that's the next chapter. Then I go through talking about teaching. We put the text of Psycho Dungeon there, but also there are other things where like maybe I create mini games that represent
Yeah, I was going to
certain
say,
moments
it
or
feels
stuff.
more like, oh, here's a game where you have to live out of boxes and you have to rearrange everything to get things out of the bottom of the box. And it's like
But yeah,
constantly losing things and you're on a time limit. That's how living out of boxes works. There we go, game design.
yeah, it could be a couple of different things if you're just like. I think there's a lot of scope you could do for doing autobiography in games. Like
Yeah.
I have talked about Swamp Creature as almost like filtered semi-autobiography. But this idea I had, I'll talk about this, then we can go to a random word generator with a new name because I don't have much more to add to it. Though, it's like so we have got two games here. We've got Living Out of Boxes and this weird memoir game anthology collection idea, where I thought I would call it The Last Name.
Go on.
Because I have had many last names in my life. I write and release games as Kayla Dice. When I was a stand-up comedian, that was under the name Kayla McQuarrie. When I was a wrestler, that was under the name Kayla Fizz. When I was a teacher, I didn't always feel like explaining how McQuarrie was said to kids. It was quite hard to spell and pronounce, so I often went just by like Miss Mac. And then I liked almost the play on meaning with the last chapter of being like, this will be the last name I tell you. This is my last name. Not last name as in like the end, a surname, but like the last name that I intend to have.
Yeah.
I thought there was some. I, to be honest, had been reading a lot of Ali Smith and was very into wordplay. Do you want to go to the random word generator for a full game, or do we want to do another quick bites segment?
I'm trying to think what games would be in my sort of memoir game.
Oh yeah, like if you were using your own games or having to make some for your own. I don't want to flip this question on you because it can be quite vulnerable, but I want to talk about this if you do.
No, I mean, this is your life path, season 3. Here we are. It's right now. I don't think any of my games would fit into like a chronology like that. Other than like the year I was living at home is when I started writing my games, like my one pages. So you could have like, here is a page about what I did that month and, start of COVID, that sort of stuff. And
yeah, you could do it in a chronological order of when, like, it could be a less an autobiography of your whole life and more like an autobiography of you as a memoir of your design practice and how it's involved, like including each game in there. So you'd be down to like, yep, here's Rebellion 30 XX. Here's it in its full. Here's things I'd do differently now.
yeah,
Here's what this represented on my journey as a fancy pants game designer.
yeah, because it's like, I wrote Rebellion while I was still at home with my parents, like after moving back home after uni. But like, it was the game that helps me meet Alyssa and like move out of home and everything. So, the game sucks, but like without it, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah, I think that's a fun thing of like a collection where you are telling the story of you and each game.
Yeah.
Would probably need to be quite vulnerable. Like, this is the thing where I'm like, if I wrote a memoir, I feel in a big way, so much of my life is defined by romantic relationships, and I'm not like defined by, but like they're things that really like break apart like eras of my life, of my adult life at least, because I didn't really date until I was 21. But basically, I feel that creates this situation where I'm like, oh, I don't know how much I could write any kind of memoir or stuff that was being very exact without like spilling a bunch of romantic details that like I'm aware like you're normally allowed to do, but I'd still feel weird about it.
So those are our games. Yours is called The Last Name. I think mine is called A Year in Game Design. I mean, once... No, it's terrible.
Funding the biscuit.
Funding the biscuit. There we go. It sounds like a metaphor for jerking yourself off. Thank you for listening to Game Soups. This is 16 minutes. I can't do that here.
I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, let's do a quick bites. I think that would take us. So let's both get to a random word generator. One. Ooh, I've got a fun one. I think relinquish.
Relinquish. Mine is window.
I feel like maybe window here because I'm like window is very hard as a noun. But what I was going to go, maybe it's a game about like you just glimpse various moments. You have like a D100. No, not even a D100 table. You maybe have like a major arcana 22 things, which is just like the descriptions and names of like powerful rulers or wizards or warlords or anything. And each time you just draw them, and then you take a window into the moment where they relinquish their power, willingly or unwillingly. And then you're just skipping around this, and it's kind of just like a backstory creator.
Yeah, it's like a history of a world creator sort of thing.
Yeah, you could then maybe once you've got all of these characters and these moments, start like mapping them on some kind of chronology or something. It's a little bit of a... What would you call this one? Windows into relinquish feels terrible.
Time window.
I feel like you don't use the window metaphor in the title. You do use it in the text, though.
Probably
maybe it's just
not, yeah. Timeline, but then on the cover we have a big guillotine. That is the line.
Maybe it's surrender power. Because I like that's like the idea, like surrender's got a bit of a sort of like, oh, is that willingly or not willingly?
Yeah.
Do we want to keep relinquish or window?
Window.
You want to keep window? Okay. I've got army. Window army.
So this is a game about you know, in like every classic thing where people are going way too fast and they smash through a window, you are the two people carrying the window with your armies.
You are an arm. You are like, yeah. We're just taking this. Let's say it's army because we're gonna use some like fucking war game mechanics for this. You are, fucking window installation crews trying to get them from one end of town to the other, and like the GM figure or whatever. Like you all, maybe it's a skirmish game and you have your own minis, but then there's a GM controlling this whole sort of army or whatever. I don't fucking understand how war games or skirmish games or mini games work. Don't come for me. Do not fucking come for me.
It's like a
handle
board
this
game
right now. Yeah, they play all of the like just fucking miscreants, misadventurers, comic strip Beano characters. You gotta try and dodge them. It's that. I think the game, even though that's not the gag, I feel this immediately puts me in the mind of like this is a game called To Me to You.
Yes. It's like your two people who are carrying the window have different moves, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna flip it up so it's only held by you, and then we have to run around.
Mini skirmish game. That's a kind of fun dynamic, I think. So I think we now need to swap out window for army.
Okay, let's go Harbour.
Harbour Army. I feel like last time we talked about an under the sea game, and this has now made me more interested in a very impractical game. So I think this is some kind of game you play in like a fucking dish washing. You know the plastic bowls that go in sinks?
Yeah, basin.
Basin. I forgot the name for them. You fill up a basin with water, and then like you have you construct like little paper boats, which are obviously gradually going to sink. You build their own like size and speed, and it's a game about like or maybe you don't use boats, but maybe it's a rubber duck game.
Okay.
Yeah, you get some rubber ducks in this basin, and you like put like bits of string to make the grid on the water.
Okay, Christ.
Maybe not, but you do something that's like or like maybe it's just like a vibes based.
Would you like to hear
Like
my
this?
pitch?
Yes, I'd love to.
I think it's a game where you are trying to organize all of the civilian boats at to go help at Dunkirk, and it's like you've got a fishing trawler. Well, I don't know if we can sort that, but can we move your engine to another boat? Like you've got all these ship captains who are just normal people, and then you've got all these boats and all these gear and stuff. It's like, can we get enough boats over to help the escape? Or
Yeah, this sounds. I have no idea how this would be mechanically, but I'm like, oh, this does sound like a quite good game if it was something you were very passionate about making.
yeah, we get like a historical person in to like tell us all about the boats of the time and logistics. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lobby help, I
I
guess.
I have got something. I have no idea if he's a war like a World War II, World War One,
but
whichever
he's
one.
a boy. He has to be, right?
um, he's into a lot of military history, so
There
I
you
just
go.
don't know if he goes more for the obscure shit even. So swapping out army for torture.
Torture Harbour. It's a game where you are tied to the end of a harbour, and the tide is coming in. Can you get help before um, you drown? It's like that one Bob's Burgers episode.
Well, I reckon maybe this is a slasher game.
Oh yeah,
Like you are some kind of like nautical based slasher. So
okay.
there is you are a slasher, but also this is a slasher game on a harbor. So it's there's like a nearby island and a nearby lighthouse, and it is the fact that like I like this isn't a game with like minis or stuff, but I do think moving between the regions across the harbor is like a big part of the game. And like there's maybe questions about I think actually this is not entirely like maybe it's slasher. I think Torture Harbor I could make a great scenario for my game Fear the Taste of Blood with that.
Yeah.
Like I'd build some survive because that's always like there's a monster, there's a location, and there are 4 survivors. I could and the scenarios were all I would write a description of the monsters, some pre-gen character, and a bit of a setting, so you don't need to go through the whole character creation thing. I could definitely write something called Torture Harbor, which is about some fucking like ghost of a tortured sailor who, if I wanted the game to be really heavy, I'd say like they were left to die while having a medical episode that wasn't understood. So they now want revenge on the descendants of the sailors who left them to die.
Yeah.
And it's just called Torture Harbor. It's a Fear the Taste of Blood scenario. Do you want to do one last? We're almost at 25 minutes.
Yeah,
I feel
let's,
we can
let's
throw
stretch for a big one. Fuck it. Disagree.
Torture Disagree. Ooh, this one is. I'm going to swap out Torture because I feel like without it just leads to.
Gitmo Simulator. Next game. Let's go.
No. I got Attic. So Attic. So I think this is a game where you just via some like rolled encounters, you keep rolling random like mysterious instances that happen in the attic where you live, and then you jump to like a house meeting, whether that is like kids trying to convince their parents or something, or like if you're a bunch of housemates having an actual sit down, where you were trying to argue about what you think is in the attic.
Yeah.
And at the end, like people, I think maybe vote for what is.
Yeah, it's a
What
Brindlewood
they-
Bay hack.
Yeah, I think it's a Brindlewood Bay hack about monsters in your attic. Kind of in a similar way. I feel it would be a bit similar to like Kieran Gillen's like How Do Aliens Do It thing.
Can't say
You
I've
seen
read
that?
it. I've seen it, but
It
I've
sounded
not
really
read it.
interesting. I remember he told me about it way back in like Gen Con last year. It uses like Brindlewood Bay mechanics, but is basically a bunch of alien kids trying to figure out how sex works for humans. It's a bit about like There's usually some kind of Brindlewood Bay mystery stuff for like a story about like what it was like learning about sex in a sort of pre-internet era, which obviously we know nothing about because we're young up and
Fucking
comers. mainly.
Zoomers, yeah.
But I feel like this could be something about I feel like in a weird way this is about anxiety, I guess, and about like irrational fears. Like I think like the ideal aim for the game is you discover the clues that are like there's nothing up there. And I feel like maybe the sort of point of failure is realizing that or maybe it's a game that could go in lots of different directions. Maybe it's about fears and realizing it's not there, or maybe it's about the fear of not being believed when something real is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be a fun game, but I would personally need to decide what the angle is on it to write it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you ever think... Sorry, you can go on.
Yeah, it's like, are you trying to work out, is it a game about lying to your children, or is it a game about ignoring your children?
Yeah. It doesn't need to be a family thing. It could also be like other stuff. But yeah. And I think, I don't know, what I was going to say is like, do you ever feel with game ideas that you need to understand like what the game thematically means for you to write it?
Yeah, I mean, when we were first trying to re-release Goblin Country as like from a Word document to an actual Kickstarter thing, we were like struggling. Well, I personally was. Alyssa just seemed to like, yeah, no, it's not that. But in my head, I was like, is this a game about displaced people? Am I the person to write this? And it's like, Alyssa was like, no, it's not. It's about being silly little guys. It took me a few months to like get around to that thought, but
yeah, I understand that, like the fear of like, oh, is there a thematic implication here that I'm uncomfortable?
yeah,
As well, occasionally I have certain ideas. A lot of ideas we come up with this podcast where I'm like, that's a good idea, but I need more of a personal, emotional reason to care about writing that idea than just I think it's good. And I was wondering if you feel the same, or if you're more like, I guess, are you more like what seems fun to write?
yeah, I mostly do like what's fun to write, and then I can sort of like work out what the thematic is afterwards.
Yeah, I think both are legit. And to be fair, that's how I am sometimes with some games. That's definitely how I was with Out of the Fold, where I was like, oh, it would be fun to figure out this mechanic. But like, yeah, if I tried to write the Monster in the Attic game, I'd need to, I think, going into it, know like, what's the game really about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whereas if I was writing it, it would be like, yeah, there's probably a monster in the attic. Here's some things the children might hear overnight. Like knock out a bunch of ideas, and then like once I've written it, I'd be like, so what's it actually about?
Yeah. I think for you to write it, you would need to be like, am I going to have fun writing, what things the children are hearing or stuff. I also care about fun. I've never written a game that I felt wasn't fun to write.
Yeah.
But, for certain ideas, I feel like I need more. That was just an interesting actual game design discussion rather than just...
we need a funny joke to
game
end
design
on.
shit riffs. Yeah. I think I'm happy to end this here. Say thank you for listening to Game Soup. If you're Dragon Meat 2 is sold out, but like if you have a ticket, come say hi. I am going to be there at the 12 Pins Press stall. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, follow us on socials or whatever. EP.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.